What up? No, it is another Thursday. This is Knockouts and Three Counts, and at long last, we've got a guy on the show tonight who we've been looking forward to bringing for a while. If you keep up with one championship, we have the debut on Knockouts and Three Counts of the Monkey God himself, Jared Brooks, your ONE FC champion. But before we get to that, I got to tell you about our fine sponsors at Potter's Tree Service. If you're in the need for tree trimming, wood chip cleanup, storm damage cleanup, walnut logging, all that stuff. And he'll even cut your grass now. Hit up our guy, Asa Potter at Potter's Tree Service. All his links to all his stuff are there in the description. And I promise you, if you go with Asa and Potter's Tree Service, you ain't going to need Hacksaw Jim Duggan or a 2x4. Asa will get you together. Tell him Knockouts and Three Counts sent you, and enjoy the show.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and Three Counts starts now.
What up, no? That's right. This is Knockouts and Three Counts, and you heard the promo. The champ is here. Our guy, Jared Brooks, is making a debut here on the show, man. I appreciate the time.
Hey, I appreciate you guys taking the time out, too, and hitting me up, and it's good talking to you guys. You guys look super, super familiar. This isn't the first time I've been on Knockouts and Three Counts, is it?
That's your first time, but
Where have I seen you guys?
You've seen me at the fights all the time, dude. I'm doing commentary and everything else.
That's what it is.
I remember running into you at least one time in the past. That's for sure.
Plus, it helps the fact that I've known James since I was like 14, so it's like
I think everybody in Michigan has known James since they've been 14.
Shit, I was at MASH when they were all still together, like him, Justin, Miles, all them motherfuckers.
Man, that's crazy. I still got the mash tattoo symbol.
Oh no, he got you to get the brand on him. Oh shit!
I branded this myself. I mean, this was just me, like, saying, hey, I'm with the cause, and James is somebody. Everybody that knows James he's a very selfless person, and he really cares about mixed martial arts, and he really cares about the growth of Michigan martial arts as well.
I can't argue that at all.
He's definitely an awesome character. I was just gonna say he's definitely an awesome character. Every time I've ever ran into him, he's a fun person to be around. That's for damn sure.
Oh, dude, you never know what the fuck the guy's gonna say. I mean, I remember when I first started training with James, he was still getting ready to fight Tim Bosch in the UFC and shit. And that tells you how long ago this was. I remember him bringing Ken Shamrock to the gym and all kinds of stuff like that. So it's good to see him around there. Anybody that knows the Michigan scene either knows who James is or knows of what he's done. Former UFC vet, former Pride vet, King of the Cage champ. And I mean, now he's got helping guide you with your career. Talk to me a little bit about that, man. How is it having somebody like James in your corner who's done, UFC, Pride, stuff like that, as you kind of trek your way through the MMA scene?
James is somebody that he's a well-versed coach. So he's been, a lot of people don't see, because I really like to keep it in between, like, me and him, our coach student lifestyle. So James and I have had a pretty crazy connection since we first started, man. And the way that we started was, I had no coach in Chechnya. I was training in South Carolina. I had no coach. I was like, my manager was like, yo, I got this guy, his name's James, and I've heard, other names, being shut out here and there, but, James and I, we met in Chechnya pretty much because we didn't have the same flight, and I ditched him at weigh-ins, everything, I heard him on that, and, but, after the fight, we got to really talking, and I was like, this guy, because the first time you meet James, it's either you really love him or you hate him.
You're not wrong.
And the first time I met James, I think he just said something smart to me, and I was very into my feelings right? So I was just like, what? Like, who the fuck is this
That
guy?
sounds about right.
Yeah,
I could-
but besides that, I think that James has a heart of gold, and when you understand his, his true meaning and what he actually sees in the sport and sees in you too, he's broke me down physically, mentally, spiritually. He knows me like the back of his hand, and I think that that's why our connection is very strong before we go out in the circle. And I think that that's the most important aspect. And he's not he's not somebody that tries to keep me in a cage in a box as far as getting better as well. He doesn't care. He'll take all the smoke from all of the Michigan MMA gyms that he'd be like, hey, Jared's gonna come over here and train with you guys. He's gonna get the best work, and if you guys don't want the best work from Jared, in return, then that's on you guys. But he has the balls to coordinate all of that for me, so I'm not dealing with all of the stress and anxiety of Michigan gyms, man. If we all work together, I think that you guys would all be like me. You guys
I
would be
feel like we've
working.
been saying that since 2006, though.
Well, I'm the only
Yeah.
person that's fucking done it, and I still have issues with some gyms, and it isn't me. They have issues with me, but yeah, going back to James, he's somebody that has let me loose in the state of Michigan to get me better, and as you see, the proof is in the pudding. So every Michigan athlete that is held by a gym, get out and see the world and actually get better against good people, the best in Michigan.
Well, that led into something I wanted to talk to you about and ask you about, because, that's been something we've seen ever since Michigan kind of came on the scene and we started getting guys in the UFC. Like, we had Miles, you had Justin James, you have Chaos that's still there. You've got, you could go down the list. Michigan's had so many, but the one thing that you see with a lot of those people that are leaving and going to the UFC, or in your case, one championship or whatever the case might be, a lot of guys are traveling to a lot of these super gyms and stuff like that to try to get all the best training. I like hearing things like what you said about going and training at multiple different gyms. Talk to me about, because if I'm not mistaken, you're from the Indiana area, right? Or were you born in Michigan?
No, I am from Warsaw, Indiana. I am a hillbilly wigger.
I thought I remembered you being from Indiana, and the reason I asked that is, like
Aren't
I
we
said,
all?
you see so many people up out of there. How talk to me about training in Michigan. What is it about Michigan that you think is kind of like misconstrued to those who don't know the talent pool that we have here in Michigan? Because so many guys, like I said, you see them leave and they go train at these other super gyms, but for you to do what you've done and to be able to get up to the level you're at with one championship, doing that in Michigan, talk to me about that versus deciding to go to like one of those big gyms.
I've been there, done that. I've been to those big gyms. I've been to American Top Team. I trained at American Top Team for a year and a half. I trained at Black Zillions, and I understand the politics and like if I was to go to American Top Team right now, I'd probably have like 5 coaches on me. Hey, Jared, you come work with me, But when you're starting out in those gyms and you got like 2-3 pro fights, nobody knows who you are. Those guys don't care about you. They don't see any paycheck on their cash. American Top Team, they might see you as a good benefit as a training partner, right? But that's really all they see you as at the end of the day, and you can get better with those bodies. But are you going to get better with coaching? Are you going to get better mentally, physically, and spiritually? I feel like you can, but the options are way less in those bigger gyms because they're worried about the big dogs that are making millions on pay-per-views and stuff. So I've used my environment to the best of my capabilities, and shout out to Joaquim Murcielago. Yeah, no, Murcielago.
Oh, my bad. I don't know why I was
Yeah.
thinking Buckley. I knew you were going
No.
Joaquin. I just seen him at the fights last week too.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot of guys along with James into the game and making them understand what it takes to to go to that higher echelon into those higher stakes. But those guys do a great job over at Murcielago with their teamwork and how they're supporting each other. And I feel like that's how Michigan MMA should be. And I feel like on this side over here, it's a little bit split up, and everybody's trying to compete against each other. And what one person is burning the other one's bridge, and by the time they build the other one, then they're burning it again. It's not good for mixed martial arts in the state of Michigan. So in my gym, anybody is more than welcome to come and train with us, and other people that want to train at another gym a couple of times a week. I mean, what is that? If you guys compete in the future, then it's no different than two UFC fighters that were in the same gym for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you're in the same gym for 2 weeks. Oh, I know this guy. Oh, I know him like the back of your hand. Shut up. You don't know how he is in a fight, right? So, me in training compared to me in a fight, two different people, man. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get that guy better. And if I see that he's new, I'm gonna put the storm on him. I'm gonna make him feel like shit that whole time, to where I'm not enabling you. I'm not making you feel like you just did well against me. I'm making you know where you're at in the spectrum to get better. So anybody that wants to come and train with me, come to Roots Combat Club, man. We have Justin Scoggins. He's one of the best strikers in the world in our weight class. Got one of the best wrestlers in our weight class, which is me, and you got Alex Hody. He's one of the best jiu-jitsu.
I know all about Hootie, man. I've known Hootie since he was like this big. I was going to ask you about training over there, man. That kid has been a phenom as far as jiu-jitsu since he was young as shit. And that gym over there at Roots has definitely thrived. So definitely a good spot for you to be at if you're here in Michigan. But with that being said, bro, I got to ask you. So one of the questions we got a lot from a lot of the listeners when I put up that you were coming in is everybody wants to know the story of the Monkey God. How the fuck did that come to be, and how did we get to that nickname?
Yeah, so it was more of like a spirituality thing, growing up. And everybody called me Spider Monkey over at American Top Team. They used to call me the ATT Monkey over there. And I seen like other people being called Spider Monkey, and I just didn't like it. I was like, yeah, this is a whack name. It's kind of like the Spider-Man when old boy's like the human spider, and he's just like, no, it's Spider-Man. I started doing a lot of research into like different religions. I was trying to find myself, and I just stumbled upon the Monkey God and did a little research, and I was like, this is kind of like how I want to be as a fighter. And if you do your research into Hanuman, which it isn't Sun Wukong is the Chinese version of what that is, and like Goku and all that, it is based off of that. But Hanuman, he's the god of strength, perseverance, and wind. I am fast, bro. You can't get faster. You can't get faster than me. I don't think Demetrious Johnson is faster than me. He might be more technical than me and more flexible, but he is not faster than me. While the strength portion, anybody in my weight class, I'm stronger than. Period. And perseverance. I win. I can't tell you a fight that I haven't won besides knocking myself out, and that's the that's the end of the deal with that.
That'll always hurt a little bit.
No, it's a blessing in disguise, because at the end of the day, I can say the only person that has beat me is me.
I mean, that's a dope thing to be able to say, and a good thing for the confidence, man. But you led right into something else that we had to get your thoughts on. I've been paying attention to some of the things you were calling for, and I know that you wanted to get in there with Demetrious Johnson before he got out of the game, out there and won. What do you think his legacy is going to be? Where does he rank for you as far as like Mount Rushmore type stuff? And what do you think his legacy is going to be?
I've watched Demetrious Johnson since he was in WEC, man, and I was like, who is this guy? Like, he's super exciting. I thought he was gonna be a future champ, no matter what. Whenever I seen him fight, and 2012 comes around, UFC Flyweight division, and it's my senior year in high school. I'm like, oh crap, Demetrious Johnson is fighting for the 125-pound title. There's going to be a 125-pound division. So I was like, in the back of my head, I'm like, this is what I need to do. This is who I need to be. And that's when I really started to focus on my mixed martial arts and focus on my jiu-jitsu and wrestling and my base there in order to get to a higher echelon to where I was in the UFC. And I did it in a very small amount of time. I did it in almost 3.5 years. It was cool. But, Demetrious Johnson is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this in the first place. And I thank him for that. And I definitely put him up upon the goats of the goats. If you put John Jones against Demetrious Johnson in the same weight class, Demetrious Johnson smokes him. Period. I don't care. I know that length, all of that stuff. But if they were in the same weight class, Demetrious Johnson.
Shit, look what he just did in that jiu-jitsu tournament against that big son of a bitch that he choked out. Man, that guy had like 200 pounds on him, and he choked the shit out of him.
Exactly, and that's what that speed, strength, and perseverance all are. That's fighting in the back of my head, and I think that's Demetrious Johnson, and he is fighting at the end of the day. And I hope that the call outs weren't too much disrespect, but goddamn, dude, you gotta try to get fights, and I tried to do it respectfully, and that didn't work. So I was in the same realm as Demetrious Johnson. Why wouldn't I do that?
You'd be a fool not to.
But Demetrious is the best of all time, and thank you so much, Demetrious, for everything that you've done in mixed martial arts and everything that you've done for me.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. I mean, a champ of champs, right? I mean, literally, like you were saying, as good as they come. I mean, literally one of the best of all time in all divisions. Like you say, you put him up against anybody if they were the same size. His skills and technique-wise, he I think would outclass just about every single one of them. So,
well, if
to see a legend,
he's the legends of legends.
Yeah.
I think that if you do research, Matt Hume is his coach, right? I don't know if you guys know who Matt Hume is.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's been
He's
around.
the reason why he got the trade to one, if I'm not mistaken, right?
100%. But Matt, I respected him as a coach before I even knew that he was affiliated as a matchmaker with Pride. Anything. I knew him as a coach because I was watching Demetrious Johnson, and I was like, who is this guy that is showing Demetrious all of the Matrix, right? And that's when I remember messaging Matt in 2011, and I was like, hey, could I come to your gym in Washington? And he was just like, yeah, just shoot me an email real quick. And I never took the opportunity, unfortunately, because I was young and I was a junior in high school. It's not like I could just travel to Washington, but I wanted to see if I could do it. And it's really cool how things have changed. Matt is one of the main matchmakers of one championship, and I get to see him almost every time that I fight. So it's really cool because I was a fan of the sport, and now I can be a part of it, but still be a fan.
Hell yeah, that's dope, dude. And I mean, the thing is, like you said, I mean, I've been hearing about Matt Hume for years, man. And that's the thing. He was always like, you'd hear the name, but only like the hardcores really knew what time it was with Matt Hume and stuff until DJ just like got out on the scene and just started fucking shit up, man. And then I feel like everybody. I mean, right. But I mean, Tim Bosch was dope. I'm not going to argue that at all. But at the same time, like you said, to your point, like Mighty Mouse, I feel like is going to get a lot more respect now that he's gone, because I think people are going to realize just what he did, because his run in the UFC by itself was already huge. And then to be involved in that big trade thing and then go to one and win the belt there and defend the belt there and do all that stuff. I mean, you can't really ask for much of a better resume or, a career for him. But let me ask you this. You being both in the UFC and one championship, do you think now that since Mighty Mouse is retired, do you think Dana regrets making that trade to one?
No, I really don't think he does, for the simple fact that Ben Askren just yeah, he went out and made one look like it was, man. That sucked. But Demetrious Johnson, he came through and he he was great for one championship in the mixed martial arts. So I think that both had a good key factor. It made Jorge Masvidal look like the god of MMA for a second, and while Demetrious Johnson,
That's
it gave one championship the go ahead to look good against one of the goats, while Adriano Moraes knocked out Demetrious Johnson. So I think they both had a good deal there, man.
I mean, I think it worked out. I mean, and
With-
like you said, it gives DJ a completely different route to go through his career and stuff like that. But it's just crazy to think, because I mean, that was how many years ago now at this point that DJ was over there at one championship. I don't know if we'll ever see anything like that ever happen again. I just you wonder, because you see all the stuff in the news, if you pay attention, with all the stuff with the talk of the return of Francis Ngannou, right? And the fact that you've got the whole saga between Jones and Stipe, and the fact that Tom Aspinall's got a belt and not getting a chance to fight for it, and all those kind of things, man. It's just crazy to watch how some of those things crumble at times. At the end of the day, you never really could have. I would have never thought that he'd have stuck that long. I figured he eventually would have ended up back in the UFC. But I mean, with that being said, and you getting to fight so much overseas, as well as having your time in the UFC, talk to me about the biggest differences between UFC and one championship. Like what was the biggest things you saw different when you went over there, and what, like, pros and cons, either or?
I would say mostly you're around the production crew a lot more in one championship. You get to see the ins and outs a lot more. While the UFC, they keep it kind of like on the hush hush, like in the back scenes, like you're only there for like 30 seconds to see the Truman Show. While in one championship, it's like they're very open. It's like, yo, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. This is the game plan. It's you feel like you're part of the production, which is really cool. You feel like I used to act. I was in theater almost my whole life, so
No shit.
doing that is pretty cool. And I always that's my dream job, if I could go into one championship production and actually make people more interested in mixed martial artists and their lives, and how difficult it actually can be. That shit could be a reality show as itself. But one championship has done a great job of storytelling. So I think that their storytelling abilities are a little higher than the UFC. But the UFC they are risk takers. I will give them that. Every time that they want to put on a big show, they put on a huge show, and they know how to get viewership. So I would say the biggest differences is the production, most of all, like just the production crew. I wouldn't say that there's too many other differences.
as somebody,
Good.
when you got into the sport, I'm sure part of your bigger goal or kind of thing that you maybe look forward to was the potential to travel and stuff like that and put on shows in front of the whole world. What's that like? I mean, talk to me about just going over there and representing your country on such a grand scale like that. Seems to be just such an astronomical thing to somebody like me watching at home.
Yeah, it's really cool to go across and see different cultures and see different variables of the world, right? But at the same time, man, I'm so tired of traveling and fighting. Like you have no idea. Half of these guys in the UFC are just fighting in the Apex half the time, and then they're bitching about it. I'm like, dude, go do a 22-hour flight. Get there 4 days before, and then fight, and then be like, and then come back the next day. So in 5 days, I just did almost 40 hours of flying, right? And I don't like to get outside of my hotel room. I like to to chill in my hotel room. I like to think that I'm being treated as a king. Why would I go and walk and do stuff that's gonna make my body feel like shit the next day? You know, I put me out of my cell to give me a workout, give me food, and then we fight. So I don't. If I was on a vacation, I would love to go and travel, but this is business at the end of the day, and I have a baby at home. It's not like I can just chill over there for a couple of days after, and think that everything's okay. Like, no, you have to go home, feed your baby. Yeah, so I don't like traveling. If one championship had like an apex, hell yeah.
I mean, we've seen them start to implement a couple of these Denver shows and stuff like that. I mean, they've kind of made rumblings of other commissions and stuff, maybe accepting the one championship rule set and stuff like that. Maybe we could see more stateside events potentially coming soon.
Oh, dude, they're cleared in Detroit.
Bring that shit here, man. We never get the big stuff here. Damn it.
You clean? They cleared the rule set in Detroit. They cleared the rule set in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They cleared it in New Mexico. They cleared it in a couple of other states too. Atlanta. Atlanta's going to be in November. So yeah, I think that them mending this Muay Thai and with the mixed martial arts,
that 4-ounce glove shit is so sick.
it's insane. And then when you can get Muay Thai fighters mending into mixed martial arts, and then those mixed martial arts fighters like John Lineker. Did you guys watch John Lineker's last fight?
Yes.
Yeah, he went against that kickboxer and absolutely demolished him. like a little kid. It was really, really bad. So you get to see some of the best strikers, just going. I wish I could have seen Liam Harrison versus John Lineker. That would have been amazing. But yeah, it's really cool to be a part of a promotion that's actually growing as like that. Like, you can split it up, but you're still the same mixed martial arts promotion.
Hell yeah.
That's one thing I really love about one championship is the mashup of all the different styles. The fact that they'll bring in grappling matches, but they don't focus full cards on it. So you only got to see it if that's not what you're into. It's only one fight, and then you're on to back to the fights. Or if Muay Thai is your thing, you get 5 of those, but you also get 5. It's like this real good mashup of styles and intricate.
Do it like the olden days, man. Like, I'm a mixed martial artist. I'm a world champion. You just put me up against Mikey Musumeci, the best in the world in jiu-jitsu. Like, literally the GOAT, in my personal opinion, in jiu-jitsu. You got Cade Rotullo, you got those guys, but they were the same size as Mikey. I don't think that they could hang with Mikey, to be honest. And I've done better in jiu-jitsu against him than a lot of black belt world champions. So I love the opportunities that can be put in front of me like that, to where I could go against somebody even like of Ratang. Like, I do Muay Thai. I could go out and fight Ratang. I really don't give a shit at the end of the day. If you pay me accordingly, if you pay me as much, 3/4 of what Ratang is making, I will fight Ratang any day, right? And make sure my daughter's paid. You know what I mean?
Fuck yeah, I'm not mad.
Got to bring some scratch home, that's for sure.
Well,
I am not afraid of any fight in one championship, though. That's one thing that, like, if they were to bring John Lineker tomorrow, like I said, you just gotta pay me. Give me money, I will fight them.
Hey, that's a true fighter, dude. But that's right. Well, that leads to something that obviously a lot of people have been asking. In full disclosure, anybody that listens to the show, first of all, shout out to all of you guys who's watching. It says we got about 112 people in here right now. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, all the buttons, share that shit, and subscribe. But with that being said, man, I said it live here on the air. We got to talk about this slam thing. I want to know what was going through your head with it, because I'm be honest, when I watched that shit, my immediate thought was, wait a minute. Every fight I've ever been in, every fighter meeting I've ever been in, I always have heard them say before they end the meeting, protect yourself at all times. If you hold on to a said submission, what happens after that most of the time is your fault. So when I saw it, I'm like, wait a minute. So my man held on to the Kimura, got knocked the fuck out, and he loses. Like, I don't understand that, and I can only imagine from a fighter's point of view where that puts you at. So now that you've had time to not only be separated from that, but get your belt back, what are your thoughts on all that?
Man, the reason why I like smiled at first, I thought you were talking about like when I knocked myself out. So you said slam, and I was like, the first thing that popped in my head, I was like, God damn, I can't get away from this. But no, I think that everything happens for a reason, and things were showed to me that night, and yeah, that's all I gotta really say on the subject. Of course, you gotta protect yourself at all times. One championship does have their own rule set and their own guidelines that they have to procure with the fighters. They did put me through a rules meeting saying that there was no slams to the back of the head, neck, or spine, and they did show examples and stuff. But that personally, that was not a slam from me purposely. I'm used to picking up. God, how much do you weigh, Kyle?
About $150.
I'm used to picking up guys around $150, $160, and they're landing halfway on their toes by the time I'm picking them up like that, right? And I have their arm. They're still doing that, right? I think that I I think my hips were just too good, man. Too good for my own good, and I pulled him up, try to bring him down, try to get that leg in to secure that RNC. He ended up landing the top of his head, and it bent his neck in a very weird direction. And then they did it in slow mo, and it looked really, really bad. The guy. I think he has a torn ACL right now, and that's the reason why I'm fighting for the interim title fights and stuff like that. And they're letting him sit on that for a minute. His neck I don't think was injured that whole time, but I think he's going to sit on that belt as long as possible, and to try to get his appearance fees and the money that he's probably getting as a Filipino world champion in one championship in the Philippines. He's probably a damn millionaire, so he's probably going to sit on it a couple of times and see if I lose, and and then
Try to
he can
wait
go
it out.
on.
Maybe I don't gotta fight him again.
Well, I think it would be dumb if one championship didn't try to do Pacquiao versus Brooks 3 in the Philippines. Um, that's sold out. There wasn't in Manila. What is that? Something Mall of Asia Arena. That's a huge arena, and it's in the middle of Manila. I love the Manila crowd, so I think that that's going to be a big blockbuster when it hits. But as of right now, dude, I just got to keep on getting money and stacking up bodies. And in the meantime, if they wanted, I know that Demetrious just gave up his belt. If they wanted me to go against, the rank number 1, rank number 2 contender, I don't care if I have to hit 2 fights to get to that belt. If I'm a double champ, it's very hard to not recognize me as one of the best in the world in my weight class.
Can't argue that, dude. I'm ready to see how that shakes out and where you go with that. But talk to me about, that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about. I watched your most recent fight that got your belt back. First of all, talk to me about your journey back to that. Did that, like, what was like the mentality for that for you? And also, what were your thoughts when you found out your opponent missed weight? And at that point, you're still going to fight, dude, but he can't win the title and you can. So does that do anything to your psyche, or like getting back up there to have to fight for a title, even knowing really you never really lost it?
That's why I don't really like to go outside of my hotel room. I like to stay in my own little environment and to keep my feelings and my thoughts in check that whole time, even through things that might happen just like that. There was a point in time to where we didn't think he was going to make hydration, and I would have to re-weigh in and have to make 125. So I would have to I weighed 123 the day before, and I would have to weigh 125 for us to fight hydrated, which I'm completely content with. I just wanted to make sure that he wanted to fight so I could get that win bonus. And, but that's all that mattered to me at the end of the day. I didn't care if he weighed 145. I fought Davison Figueiredo when he was 150 pounds. So I'm not worried about weight. Hey, just put me in front of you and we'll get it done. But going against somebody like Gustavo, it was a little nerve wracking because you're going against somebody so short to your casual MMA consumer that's watching. They're like, this guy just got beat by a fucking midget. And
I'm so glad you brought this up so I can talk about this, but go on, please.
yeah, well, no, I'm not saying that as disrespect to Gustavo, but that's what the casual
No,
MMA
he's a
consumer-
beast. He's a beast.
That's what
I've watched him
casual,
before. He's a beast.
But you're not a casual MMA consumer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a casual MMA consumer is like, holy shit, like this is dwarfism, right? So I have nothing but respect for Gustavo Ballart. I have nothing but respect for him as a man and as a fighter. Do I think that he does cheat in fights? Yeah, he does cheat in fights a lot. He headbutts people. He kicks them in the nuts. If you watch him, man, that's literally his whole fights, and then he capitalizes off of it. It's pretty cool. But
hey, I've said it on the show. Those that have been watching since we started the show, I've always said like the best finisher in pro wrestling would be kicking a guy in the dick because it works 100% of the time. Say what you want, say what you will, but you get kicked in the nuts, it's gonna stop you for a little bit.
Well, before I threw him in that headlock, he headbutted me, and I was just like, you know what? We're just gonna take advantage of how close he just got to me and how little his legs are. But yeah, he's a tough fight for anybody, and it's like, what do you do? Especially in jiu-jitsu, it's very hard to get any of his limbs to snap. You got to cover distance really quick and get him super close. But yeah, the guy's an Olympian. The guy has went against the best of the best that one championship has to offer. Went on a 5-fight win streak, and he got to me. So the guy deserved to fight me at the end of the day. But it was nerve-wracking at the end of the day because nobody wants to get beat by somebody that's small. That can be a career
psyche killer.
No, that could be a career ender at the end of the day.
Yeah.
People will not
career
take you
defining
serious.
for sure.
People will not take you serious anymore. So I had to get it done quick, and I'm glad that I got it done quick and in the fashion that I did. Would I have liked to show what I was working on my feet? Of course. But the first thing that pops up in my head when I go against a wrestler is I'm be like, how good is this guy at wrestling? Right? Especially when he's an Olympic wrestler. So I wanted to test it, and he wasn't as good as I thought he was, but he was compact and he was super strong.
As expected for coming from a wrestling background. But all right, we got to ask you about UFC Noche before we let you get out of here. But before I do that, like I said, our show also covers the pro wrestling side of things. With a name like the Monkey God, bro, you got to tell me, did you ever get down with WWE or wrestling or any of that kind of stuff?
Attitude Era, man.
Fuck yeah.
You got Attitude Era all day. I used to have the WWE CD with all the walkout songs.
Yes, the anthology one, or which one?
I think it was the anthology. Yeah, with the Stone Cold.
I still have those.
Yeah, dude, and I used to go to sleep to that shit. So, like, literally, you have that on my CD player, just having Kane's background music in the back.
Fuck yeah, dude! I'll never forget.
I thought I was wild. I used to fall asleep to Green Day and shit back in the day. And no, you're
no, dude. Forcible entry,
System Up and Down, all that, man.
Fuck yeah. We just went and saw Chevelle the other day, and I told him, I said, bro, it's like we're in the 2003 fucking pay-per-view. Yeah. I remember these guys.
Amazing.
Dude, it was $12 at Arts Beats and Eats. How the fuck do you turn that down?
My 12-year-old self is yelling and screaming at me right now.
Yo, speaking of that, Corey and I were talking about this earlier, but did you hear that they're bringing Warped Tour back next year?
The Warped Tour?
Yes, next year, 2025. It's been confirmed.
Wow. What's
it is confirmed?
Warped Tour?
Okay.
I I don't know. I don't know why they ever stopped it, to be honest, because I feel like people win every year. But I mean, if they're bringing it back, I definitely got to go for the nostalgia purposes. I was just talking about this with my mom the other day. I remember Warped Tour was the first concert I ever went to. It was the Pontiac Silverdome parking lot. I remember, dude, I think the first band we saw was like Fall Out Boy, and then it went to Under Oath and all kinds of shit, man.
Ooh, Under Oath. That's a band I haven't heard in a minute. Bro.
That's why I'm saying, bro. Like, and shit, last night,
Shout out to our sponsor, Asa Potter, who's in here with us, bro. Me, him, and J-Bone, who couldn't be here tonight with us, we were out there at Stained and Breaking Benjamin and fucking Daughtry last night, dude. I'm with it. Let's go.
Yeah, you don't get better than Breaking Benjamin, man. And Stained. Stained is great. But Breaking Benjamin, bro, all the people that have listened to Breaking Benjamin, come on now.
Yeah.
Dude, they ended it with Diary of Jane, and I felt old as fuck.
I still have their hoodie from last year when I went and seen them, but
we
you should have went and seen that one with us, bro.
I should have, especially once you said you got them tickets that cheap. I should have.
Shit, $25 for seats in the pavilion? Shit.
Yeah, I should have ate that up.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm always down with the concerts. Have you hit any concerts this year? You got anything on the docket you want to try to hit?
Man, my concerts have been Miss Rachel. Literally, I've been with my daughter and working so much that I haven't really got the chance or the opportunity to go see any bands. The last concert that I went to was, I don't know if you guys know who Flying Lotus is.
I do.
Yeah, I went and watched Flying Lotus, and that concert was 3D, and it was absolutely insane. But I would love if you guys know it, because I don't look it up. You ain't gonna have me look up any bands. I'm too busy with that. But if somebody hits me up, be like, "Hey, what's up, man? You want to go out and watch a band with me?" I'll be like, "Yeah, dude, let's go."
Well, Corey's trying to get me to go see Sum 41 tomorrow, so there might be another one on the fucking docket over here. So
it's their farewell tour. I have never seen them on tour, and I feel like
I feel like all those bands
it's calling me. I have to.
All those bands lie with their farewell.
Oh fuck yeah! It's an excuse to get everybody like his ass to come out. What do you mean?
They'll take the 5 years off though. But
they're gonna have like 8 farewell tours.
Hey, dude. Speaking of the fact that J-Bone and I just went to like the Metallica show, I don't give a fuck how many farewell tours they got because, dude, I went to that Metallica concert that they had at the end of the year. Shout out to past guests of the show, Chris Cale and the homies from Five Finger Death Punch, man. That shit. Yo, so he's one of the homies, bro. You got to go back and check out that episode. They were just here, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, Corey?
Like that, 2 or 3.
Yeah, dude, he hooked it up. He came through, had us backstage with him, the whole deal. It was a good time.
Man, I heard a really crazy story about that lead singer from Five Finger Death Punch, the prison story. I was like, oh, this guy's went through some shit.
Hey, man, it wouldn't shock me. I've gotten to meet Ivan when we were back there, dude. He's a super cool fucking dude. Oh no! Please enlighten me.
Let's hear it.
No, I'm not about to put that on Facebook Live, man. Anybody?
We'll talk about it after we hit the button off.
Yeah, anybody that wants to look up this, you can look this up on Facebook or on Google or ChatGPT or whatever is your preferred website.
Hell yeah, dude. Shout out to them. They're good dudes. Like I said, it was good to get to go through there. Marilyn Manson was a pretty wild opener for them, though. I was like, wow, what the fuck? That was
a strange combination for sure.
Yeah.
How is that? I think I would love to go to a Marilyn Manson concert just because of the lights and how
Alice Cooper's another one.
Who's that German band, dude?
Rammstein.
Rammstein.
That would be fucked up.
Yo, I've seen some of Rammstein stuff on YouTube, and they get dirty with it, bro. They get crazy.
Dude, if you're gonna go wild on stage, you might as well.
Yeah, dude. We've been on a run with them this year. I mean, shit. We just went to Five Finger. I was just at Stained. We went and seen Limp Bizkit a few weeks ago. That was fucking. That was fucking cool. Although they cut it a little short.
I want to see white-haired Fred Durst.
Dude, he's got the fucking Santa Claus beard with the fitted on, the whole deal. It's a
Best. That's what I want.
Hell yeah, dude.
Chocolate
Fuck yeah.
starfish.
Bro, I still have the CD from that shit. I remember having to get my aunt from California to buy it and send it to me because I knew if my mom bought it, she wouldn't get me the regular version. So I hurried up and ripped that bitch up out the paper so they could take it back.
I have to get my dad. To hook me up with all of my old boxes. I probably have that somewhere.
Dude, that was
Great,
look
man.
again. You said you're a wrestling guy from the Attitude Era. That's all I needed to know because anyone that knows shit about wrestling back then, when the Undertaker came out to American Badass, that was dope.
Yep.
Roland was dope. I mean, all that shit back then, dude. I could go down the line, dude. That was the time. Speaking of which, you can see it right up there in the corner. You see where we at? Ric Flair's over there, and then Stone Cold's in the corner.
Oh man, that's my him and Goldberg. It was kind of cool. I was jelly that I didn't go to Denver because Goldberg walked out Liam Harrison, and I was
I wish Jordan was here.
He fucking hates Goldberg.
Why would you hate Goldberg?
So growing up watching the guy, I always kind of liked him, but a lot of people don't like Goldberg just because he said a lot of dumb shit when he got out of wrestling, and then he's also hurt a lot of motherfuckers.
Hurt them.
Well, he's the reason. I mean, to be honest,
Every
that's the
time
reason
his
why
name
Bret
gets
Hart
brought
had
up.
to retire was because of Goldberg.
Every
went to
single time
WCW.
ever that Goldberg's name gets brought up, Jordan just instantly rolls his eyes. So I wish J Bone would have been here just to feel that one. I just wanted to see it.
Everybody has their own opinions. I only know my version of Goldberg, and that version.
Yeah,
of
you
Goldberg,
were a kid. That was your favorite. Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
He's a bad motherfucker, dude. There's no way to put it, but
yeah, you're hurting people. That's not good. You're messing with people's careers. I know how that feels as a training partner, and it's kind of come on, bro. I got a fight coming up. Don't give me an injury.
You already know. Yeah. You already know, dude. Like
I
said, Goldberg was never known for his gentleness for any means. But speaking of not being gentle, dude, and all the things that you can see from wrestling and the different views that you see from one championship, we got UFC Noche this weekend. It's going to be in the Sphere. I'm so dope. I'm so excited to see how this all looks. I've always said, especially with us being a pro wrestling show too, that I would love to see the UFC and MMA kind of adopt more of the entrances they used to have. If you remember the entranceway they used to have back in the day in the UFC and stuff like that. I feel like one's done a good job of doing that, and other one I feel like taking a piece from that, especially now that UFC and WWE are all governed under the same company. I think the UFC could definitely take a few pointers from that. But dude, we've got a hell of a card for UFC Noche. So I would be remiss if I didn't get your picks for some of these fights. I mean, we'll just go down what they say the main card's going to be. It says they're starting off Ode Osborne and Ronaldo Rodriguez. You got Zellhuber versus Rabovich. You got Brian Ortega Lopez, which is going to be a fucking banger. You got Grasso and Shevchenko fighting again, and then you got Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marab. It's going to be some bangers, dude. So let's we'll just go through the top four of them. So with Zellhuber and Rabovich, what do you think?
I would say Rabovich. Rabovich seems. I'm not really familiar with both of them.
I've seen Zellhuber, but I haven't seen as much of Rabovich. I've seen more of Zellhuber than I've seen of.
I've seen them both fight, but I mean, I can't really put a pin on that.
Corey, you got one on this one?
I think this being the third from last or fourth from last kind of speaks to the fact that they ramped up as much as they could with production and tried to fill it with some Mexican fighters for the Mexican heritage thing, because like you were just saying, I mean, I'm familiar with them, but not to the point where I feel like they're deserving quite of this spot. That being said, I feel like Zellhuber has shown more, and he's kind of that guy that I think they're putting their chips in on this fight. That being said, you never know what's going to happen, but I think they're matchmaking it in that direction, and that's the way I'm going to lean as well.
I like Zell Huber just for the fact that, like, watching the UFC embeddeds and listening to him talk in his interviews, like, he seems to have like this real sense of pride, like for it being, the Mexican Independence Day and all that stuff too. I mean, it's really, to me, this fight's going to end up coming down to, like, does that stuff help fuel him, or is he going to go out there and try so hard to knock somebody's head off that it ends up getting him caught? If I'm picking one, I'm going to go with Zell Huber, but I feel like that's going to be a fun fight. But what is going to be a fun fight no matter what, and you talk about a come up, according to the rankings that they got on here right now, you got number 13, Diego Lopez, going to fight Brian T-City Ortega. What do you think about this fight? I think that fight's going to be a fucking banger. As long as Brian's healthy, this is going to be a banger.
Yeah, I think that both of them have great submission grappling. I would say that Brian has the edge on that display, but Diego, he's shown time and time again that he can deal with some of the best grapplers, and that guy has some stones in his hands. So I think that Brian, he can take a beating, and he can keep coming forward too. He has great boxing, and he uses his jiu-jitsu and his kicks together very well as well. He hides his kicks with his jiu-jitsu, so that could play a big counterpart in this. But who do I see as the bigger dog? I definitely see that Diego Lopez is the younger, bigger dog out of both of them, and I feel like Diego has a longer range and has more accumulated knockout power than Brian T-City Ortega. But Brian, if it goes down on the ground, I mean, the guy, I remember watching Brian Ortega when he was in RFA.
Yes, sir.
So I remember seeing him hitting flying triangles and stuff when he was just starting out. So I think that he definitely could get a second round submission, or I would say Diego Lopez third round knockout.
I like that. Corey, you got a pick on that one?
See, I'm feeling like an old school Brian Ortega comeback in the third rounds in order. That's what I'm feeling like. We're gonna see one of them fights where he kind of struggles in the first, starts to get his feet in the later ends of the second round, and then locks up a submission somewhere in the third. That's just how I feel this fight's gonna play out. I feel like Diego Lopez is gonna bring so much in that early fight to him that I feel like Ortega's he's gonna have to deal with a lot. I feel like the pressure is gonna be a lot. And we've seen Lopez, he, like you were saying, Kyle, I mean, just a real ascension towards the top of the division. And I feel as though it's rightfully earned, but I feel like Brian Ortega, he's one of them guys where he just constantly gets better as the fight progresses, and the danger aspect ramps up the later the fight goes on. And I feel like that's what's just ringing up in my mind right now, is I feel like a third round sub, Brian Ortega.
Well, I talk about this all the time on the show, bro. Like, I'm a big believer in momentum. I feel like momentum is a big thing in a fight. If you get a guy who's on a few fight win streak and gets some bigger wins and's moving up, there's something that it does to a guy's confidence. Plus, there's always the thing to be said about the younger fighter and all those things. I think by far this is going to be Diego Lopez's biggest test. That said, though, again, it's just something about momentum. And to Jared's point, I feel like, we got a visitor. I think to Jared's point, though, man, I think that if it goes later in the fight, it'll serve Ortega. But man, I think that Lopez is going to come out throwing some fucking heat. And I feel like that could be the problem with it. So even though it hurts me in my soul to say this, because I like Brian Ortega, but I don't know, something about that momentum and him being that much younger, dude. I think he could come out there and fucking rock Ortega. So if I'm picking one, I'm going to go with Lopez, but it hurts me to say that because I'm a big T-City guy, dude.
I'm a fan of both.
Me too, dude. That's why I'm saying I love the way that Lopez fights, but I've always been a T-City guy too. So I'm like, fuck, man. If you're asking me as like an analyst or whatever, like, what do I think? I always say how big of a momentum is, and I'd be a damn fool if I didn't say that in this fight. But man, I still also want to see Ortega come out and look good too. So yeah, it's definitely one of the fights I'm looking forward to on that one. But if I'm picking a winner, I'm going to go with Lopez. But speaking of picking a winner, we're getting Grasso versus Shevchenko 3, man. So, you know, you're talking about
are they gonna pick a winner this time? Is that what we're saying, Kyle?
Well, that's
is
what
it
I was
going to be a
say.
draw?
You know a little something about wanting the third fight, Jared. What do you think? What does it do to you when you got to fight somebody multiple times, and how do you think that's going to play out in this fight with Grasso and Shevchenko?
I think that it's going to come down to who wants it more and who wants to bury the hatchet, right? If you like with me and Pasio, I want that guy buried. I want his name buried. I don't want to hear his name ever again. It's annoying. 3 fights. I'm wanting to fight, you know, four people in 4 fights. You know, not the same guy. So I think Alexa Grasso is going to be coming out with heat in this upcoming bout, and I think that she's going to get Shevchenko on her back and make her tired, and then she could definitely finish Shevchenko on the feet.
I like that. So you're going Grasso. Corey, who you got?
I mean, so looking back at that last fight, I feel like we're seeing the later stages of Valentina. I've always been a huge Valentina fan. That was the first person that I showed my daughters. Like, if you're gonna ever try to do the sport, that's who you replicate right there. You know, that's a champ of champs. Like we were talking with Demetrious, same type of way. You know, champ of champs. But that being said, I feel like we're seeing the later stages of her career, and I feel like that last fight was the one that she won, in my opinion, to get her belt back. Where we see her now another year removed from that fight, I don't know. And that's kind of where my big mentality is going to this fight, because I felt like she won that last one. If it wasn't a 10-8 in that last round from one of the judges' scorecards, she would have won it. So that being said, I feel like we're seeing Alexa Grasso continue to improve her skills. That first victory was kind of like she's able to hang in here. She's not doing too bad. And then she locked up that submission real quick. And then all of a sudden the whole women's division's on its head. That being said, I feel like we've continued to see her improve her skills throughout this time. Now this is like 3 years that these girls have been entangled. And I just feel like you were saying, man, I feel like Alexa Grasso might be that next step now, where Valentina being at that later stage may be just one step lower now. And if that is the case come Saturday, I think Alexa Grasso is going to continue her reign as champ. Other than that, I think Valentina's still got a damn good shot. We've seen what she's been able to do in all these fights and stuff like that, but I don't know. I got that same feeling. I feel like Grasso's going to be able to pull it off on Saturday.
Shit, I'm the Lone Ranger in this motherfucker, all right? Some of these interviews this week have been kind of making me think otherwise, because I honestly think in this one, I think it burned Shevchenko that it went the way it did. Because like you said, if there were one of the 2 fights that you could give to her, it would have been more so the second fight. So my opinion, especially listening to her talk in these interviews and her talking about how she wants to finish Grasso and thinks that she needs a finish to kind of really show people what time it is, I don't know. I feel like Valentina is going to come in this motherfucker motivated to try to get her belt again. And I think she's going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at Grasso, just so if she doesn't get it, then she took every shot she could at the title. Because, I mean, hell, she held the championship for that long. I just feel like in this fight, Shevchenko is going to come out and try to take Grasso's fucking head off. That's what I think is going to happen. Like, I'm gonna go with Shevchenko, but I feel like this is going to be a good fight. But I don't know. Something about those interviews this week had me thinking she's coming in here trying to finish her, man. And those fights were already wars. So, like I say, I'm going to go with Shevchenko, but I think if she loses, it might definitely be the end of the run for sure.
Or she's building up the fight enough to where she's just like, I hope I get paid enough.
I mean, I would have to hope she's got to
With-
be all right after all them title fucking
With
defenses,
all
but who
those
knows?
title defenses, I mean, goddamn, I sure fucking hope so at that point, right? I mean, she defended the belt what 6-7 times or something, so I would sure hope so. I would hope she's well enough where that's not her motivation at this point, is just the financial gains that could come from retaining that belt again.
Hell yeah. Well, the last fight we got on the card, man, you got your main event. You got Sugar Sean O'Malley going to be fighting Merab Dvalishvili. I feel like this is going to be a fucking crazy ass fight. I feel like this either goes one of two ways. Either O'Malley is going to be able to time him enough to catch that counter shot and knock his ass out, or like I talk about on the show all the time, I think Merab is going to get Sean on the ground and fucking he's going to wrestle fuck him and beat him up. That's what I think is going to happen. But I feel like this is going to be a good fight. How do you like this one, Jared? Who you got?
I think that it could go two ways. I did post something on my Instagram today, a little breakdown
Seen that.
on how I thought it could go either way. But each fighter has their strengths. I think that Sean is, if he gets that sniper mentality and gets that timing down, it's gonna be a really bad night for Merab. While if Merab, gets Sean in that like Izzy position to where Izzy was last fight, to where he's just like running away, like ducking his head,
Defend.
just throwing haymakers mixed with shots from Merab. I feel like that's where it could end. I think that Merab is gonna beat Sean on the ground. Do I think he's going to beat him up that bad? No. I think that Sean is very, very good defensive-wise on the ground. While Merab, he's going to make him a little bit more tired and a little bit more wary of, he's like, damn, I just spent 2 minutes on this fucking cage fighting hands. I just lost half of this round. Right now I got to come up with something big. And then Merab comes with, 3 or 4 hard shots into a shot, and then you're right back into that situation. And how much time are you going to have as a sniper? You don't need a lot of time, but how much time? And I think that that's going to play dividends, and I think that that's what's going to give Merab a unanimous decision victory at the end of the day.
Who you got, Corey?
See, this one is, I love the matchup because the fact that both of them play off of each other's, I guess, best skills, right? Like you said, O'Malley, known for his striking, known for his like sniper ability, his footwork, his ability to kind of counteract these people, and not just counter shots, but his feints, his ability to really set stuff up and stuff. And then you have Merab, who's just like a kind of a juggernaut, pushes through everything. Like you said, throws big shots that lead into takedown shots, and then tries to wrestle, not even to really keep people down, but just to keep them in that cycle of like, what's coming next? What's happening? How do I deal? And then next thing you know, 5 minutes went by, and they're like, ah, shit. All right, next round, I'm going to get it. And then the same thing. So I love the matchup in that sense because both of them you really don't know which way this matchup's going to go. I feel like O'Malley's on the rise, man. I feel like O'Malley is, and I don't say that as just like some fanboy or something like that, because I loved Aljo. I love Merab. I've loved to watch his rise and what he's been able to do against some of these like former champs and stuff like this. He really deserves a belt, or a shot at the belt, should I say. But I feel like O'Malley's just going to be able to, his footwork's so good. He's so much longer and lengthier. I feel like that's going to be the big difference, is he's going to be able to stuff some of those takedowns. And once you just get Merab to back up them 2 steps to regather, if he's able to land 1-2, that could really be the end of the fight right there. And that's the big difference with me, is like you said, I feel like Merab has to put on a show for 5 rounds. O'Malley has to land a solid 1-2 and the fight's over. So I don't know, man. I feel like I'm leaning O'Malley because of the fact that the fight can be ended at any given time. We've seen it's been a long time, so that tells me he's probably improved even more since then. But we've seen O'Malley in like jiu-jitsu tournaments and stuff with like the Polaris events and stuff with Fight Pass, and he did really good. He did really damn good, and that was like 4 years ago now. So
Didn't he get tapped
that
by
tells me
Avenari?
I forget who he got tapped by, but he tapped who the fuck was it? Why can't I remember that one either? I remember he tapped somebody, and then I don't think he got tapped. I think he went the distance, which makes both fighters eliminated in that like tournament style.
Got you.
If I'm not mistaken.
I'm a believer in O'Malley. There was a point in time to where I was just like, dude, this guy. It's same with McGregor. It was like, coming from the Midwest to where
Is he real?
you have wrestlers running everything, bro. Like I'm from the Frankie Edgar era, and
Hell yeah.
and Gray Maynard and all those guys, Matt Hughes, and seeing a striker eliminate these wrestlers like that, it takes a little bit for me to actually catch on. And I'm a true believer in Sean O'Malley and his capabilities, and that he can put anybody out at any point in time. And like you said, his footwork and his distance and his range and his movement tactics are out of this world good. But I think that a lot of people are not seeing that Marab has a fighting IQ of a genius, bro. Literally has a genius fight IQ mixed with a Terminator personality. So when you have that Terminator personality mixed with a great fight IQ, and it keeps on getting better throughout the fight, you might catch. The only time he's probably going to catch Marab is in that first or second round, and I feel like that's where Sean could actually finish him. But as soon as Marab actually,
the later it goes in, he's in trouble.
Yeah, if Marab understands his timing and his distance and his range and what his feints, because Sean draws people out so well with feints, and he doesn't feint with his head. He feints with his hands. So he's just sorry. He's like my bad. Can you see me? Yeah.
You're straight.
Like, I'm upside down now. All right. We're good.
It'll flip itself. Give it. There you go.
So he's like that with his hands, and then he throws, right? So I think that's very important for Marab to capitalize on, is paying attention to his hands, and also those teeps coming at him at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and catching those teeps and making him trip. I feel like that's a big thing that Marab's going to do as well.
I kind of tend to lean the way you are, Jared, because anyone that watches the show knows that I've rocked with O'Malley. Hell, I cashed out on that parlay when I told everybody he was going to beat Peter Yan, and everybody said he wasn't going to. So just saying. But with that said, I mean, I think like you said, if O'Malley wins, he's going to catch him on a counter and he's going to knock him out. But I'm be honest with you, that pressure that Marab puts on people, I just feel like is going to be a problem for O'Malley if he can't get the timing, like Jared said, to be able to find his range, get his shots off, keep Marab at the end of his punches. Because if there's anything I've seen for Marab's fights, Marab is in your face the whole fucking time. And I feel like if Marab can execute that against Sean, it'll throw off his rhythm, and that gives him the best chance to win. If I'm picking, I think Marab can beat him, but I'm telling you, I would not be shocked if Sean O'Malley fucks around and puts his lights out.
I think I think that Sean can definitely do it in the first or second round. If I was a betting man, though, I'm going UD Marab.
You heard it here first. Well, dude, I appreciate the time. We definitely got to do this again soon once you get when we figure out what you got up next for a fight. But if you got anything left that you want to throw out to anybody, anything you want people to know, sponsors, all that good stuff, where they can find you on socials, it's all yours.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody rocking with me this whole career. I mean, I've been fighting since I was 14 years old, from the people in South Bend, Warsaw, all the Indiana people, Michiana. I remember fighting in all these little Michigan towns when it was unsanctioned. and I was really
Wild
young,
Wild
but-
West days.
So I've been part of Midwest fighting for a very long time, and it's been a complete honor and a complete pleasure to put performances on for the Midwest fighters and the people that are coming up, and to show all of the fighters in the future that this is a possibility for you, and you're never too far, and you're never too close to a title or towards your dreams and your aspirations. My family, I want to thank them. They're the main support system throughout, financially, through spirituality and physically. I want to thank James, my coach. I want to thank all the coaches that I've been working with. Thank you to all of my sponsors. I shout you guys out on my Facebook and Instagram all the time. If you guys, I would say one right off of the get, Keo Electric. Make sure Keo and Sons Electric. Make sure if you're ever in the Warsaw area, hit them up. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on the show, and it's been really fun talking with you guys. And I'll talk shit with you guys. Besides this, just to talk MMA, because I love doing that so much. But like I said, I appreciate you guys for having me on, and hopefully I'm on here more often.
Fuck yeah, man. We're glad we finally got to make it happen. Like I told you, we were talking back and forth. It's always good for me to get a chance to be able to put some of the Michigan boys on, and put a spotlight on them, because I feel like there's not enough spotlight put there. So anytime I get to do that, whether that's fighters, wrestlers, all that stuff, it's always cool for me to get the opportunity to do that. So definitely we will run that again soon. And speaking of Michigan boys, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. We already are lined up for next week as well, man. We've got shout out to our guy Chris Bonjour, used to get us the interviews with Evolve. That's how we got a young Austin Theory and a young Josh Briggs before they got in WWE. So shout out to Chris. We're going to be bringing Bobby Flacco on the show Tuesday, talk about what he was doing over there in Guatemala and shit. I don't know if I'll ever be there in my lifetime, but there'll be plenty of good stories there. And then on Thursday, I got a text the other day that our guy Kenny the Boss Cross wants to join the show again to talk about XFC. So this is going to be it's going to be quite the fight. He's coming back XFC, fighting Emmanuel Sanchez, Bellator vet, all that stuff. Lots of good stuff to talk about. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out our sponsors, Potter's Tree Service, and then the in-between time. Peace.